if you make a sex, then you can get your 2,000 out of the money for the rooms.
Well, she told me before we were going in the interior that she would put me to work in the bar. And if any men come to fear, that I could do it if I want to.
Human trafficking, it speaks of persons who have the authority over vulnerable persons or people, and that could use that to control, to force a person.
Guyana, which is the only English-speaking country in South America, is home to a population of just under 750,000 people. Approximately 90% of the Guyanese population lives on the coastal region in this developing country. As time passes, many persons are finding their way into the thickly forested hilly hinterland areas where the country is rich in bauxite, gold, diamond, and other minerals. The rush into the interior region of Guyana over the last few years has led to an increase in illegal activities, including violent crimes and trafficking in persons. According to the U.S. State Department's report on trafficking in persons, the interior locations are ideal for human trafficking. Meet these two young women who were rescued from a mining location after being promised easy money and subsequently trafficked. For security reasons, we will not show their faces.
This lady wanted 2 girls to go in the interior, which was me and her. And she collect my cell phone number, and the woman keep calling me. We go and reach her.
But I get us for days every day.
Y'all me know. But you want me to call?
Do it, mom.
Where's your number again? Wait, I got it saved.
Yes, girls, I come in there, give me another 2 minutes. Good.
Girl, 2 minutes away. She driving coming. So just now, relax.
It's about time. She take you long, Alicia. I diamond want to walk. This little walky girl.
Yes, girls, Alicia and Diamond, anyhow. I'm looking for 2 young ladies to work in the kitchen. I have a shop in the interior also, I do cooking and, so I need 2 girls to work there for me. Basically, you start from 6 in the morning. At least by 7, breakfast should be ready. And then preparing for lunch just after.
So what the money like?
The money is fine.
We want a figure.
I'll start you off with 150.
150, girl, what you think?
Some real good, eh?
It's damn right. 150 is enough money.
Yes, Diamond. You hold on to this, see whatever you need to pick up, and you meet me at the bus park for 6 o'clock tomorrow. And Alicia, pick up whatever you got to pick up, and you meet me at the bus park for 6 o'clock tomorrow.
All right.
That's fine?
Yes.
Social psychologist Dr. Dawn Stewart, who is no stranger to speaking out on women's issues, says women and girls are often seen as easy targets to influence and forced into prostitution.
They are somebody that you usually know, and you have some percentage of confidence in, or some percentage of trust, and those are the people that usually lure you into trafficking.
You just gotta make up your mind somewhere or the other, because you know that you have bills to pay and it's miles away from where you live in. So you just got to make up your mind to return. You have to.
Persons that are trafficked, they are either runaways, they have sexual abuse, physical abuse, and things like that, right? And oftentimes they think that they will find a better way out. And the trafficker usually make them believe that the life is going to be better than the one that they are currently in.
She placed me in my room. She gave me a couple outfits to wear, and I took it. But my problem was that every time you go to pay her, the price that she would tell you for the clothes, she would put a different price in the book.
For 2014, the then Human Services Ministry reported 23 cases of human trafficking. What was worrying about that figure is the fact that 18 of the cases were sex trafficking, and the identified victims were women and young girls. Guyana Human Rights Association co-president Mike McCormack said his organization remains concerned with the welfare of victims of trafficking in persons. McCormack says there are no proper governmental support systems in place to tackle the issue holistically.
The area that we are more concerned about at the moment, and the prosecutions are important, but the more important thing on a human level is that the victims are helped rehabilitate themselves and given alternatives which are attractive, more attractive than trying to get back into the interior. And at that level, our performance in terms of implementation, rehabilitation has not been so good.
I got for exchanging all these different types of men, you know, breathing in your face over you. It's feel real difficult. This is why I said some people, man, don't waste me money or don't ask me for me money for those strippings, because I go through it real rough for my money.
My reason for going in the interior was running away from my abusive relationship. It was so detrimental to me because every little thing he just used to hit me for.
You're coming on, like going this year, I'd like to deal with you.
In that relationship, he was physically abusive. He beat me with a 2x4 Purple hardwood. He beat me with a hammer. I was critical in hospital for a month and 6 weeks. From that, I gained a beautiful young baby girl. She's 1 year and 3 weeks now.
There should be a special women's unit in the police force to deal with, particularly with sexual offences across the board. It's very off-putting for women, never mind girls, to have to go to a police station and report a sexual offence. Normally she's confronted by a man. Police stations are not welcoming places, everybody drifting in and out while you're telling the story. That all has to change.
For the young women, drugs and alcohol became a part of their lives as a way for them to escape what was happening.
Under the influence of drugs, it's easier because they're no longer Jane. They're Jane plus drugs, or they're Michael plus drugs. So they don't see, so they use that as a coping mechanism so that they are able to better deal with the stress and the anger, the frustration, the loneliness, the abuse that they're enduring. They use drugs to be able to do that.
She wrong them thing. They personally get up and I ask she. I heard she talking about me, right? Personally she talking about me. So I get up and I ask she, if you got something to tell me. Tell me what you got on your mind. She was like, me really got nothing to tell you, but you just gotta walk up and make you some pay me. Right? I find she get an attitude. She would gang up with me friends them and I would keep away from them. The more she gang up with them, the more I keep by myself.
And persons can oftentimes become very depressed and very segregated from what is normal to what is abnormal, and therefore they're unable to cope with the day-to-day functions.
When it comes to laws criminalizing this act of modern-day slavery, Guyana's National Assembly in 2005 passed the Trafficking in Persons Bill, which is now law. Persons found guilty under this law can face from 3 years behind bars to as much as life in prison. It also outlines what systems should be in place to support victims.
It talks about the need for counseling of victims, for health, taking care of their health, and looking into the sort of grooming side of trafficking, where you're persuading people to get into this trafficking situation that then is hard to get out of. So the law itself is good, but it's like we have many good laws in Guyana. Lots of them. Our Sexual Offences Act is very progressive. Termination of Pregnancy Act, very Domestic Violence Act. This is a very good act, but the implementation is often woeful. And so it's the implementation we have to start to focus on.
Guyana's First Lady, Sandra Granger, believes that those involved in human trafficking should be handed the full penalty prescribed by the laws.
Anybody who commits this crime must be dealt with the full might and majesty of the law. I do not think there should be any leeway, and anybody who's involved in it, whether it's the madam or the pimp or the person who confuses these young girls with the belief that they'll have a job in the interior or for whatever purposes.
Mrs. Granger said as she prepares to live up to the expectations of being the country's First Lady, she will dedicate effort to shedding more light on the problem.
But these things need money, they need governmental support, and they need people who are trained in counseling them. Because I get very nervous when people go and say they're counseling and they're not trained to really counsel people. So there would need to be some training in the skill of counseling first. And also to help these young girls re-enter what I would call a normal teenage life. They will never lose the scars, they will never lose the trauma, but at least they could see themselves as viable women who can make choices, who can take decisions for their economic and social well-being and move on. That's what I would like to see, and I would work with anybody who is willing to do that.
The U.S. State Department's annual Trafficking in Persons report, which assesses human trafficking worldwide, had seen the previous People's Progressive Party civic administration disagreeing with the U.S. government over Guyana's rankings over the years. As of June 2014, Guyana remains on the Tier 2 watch list of the Trafficking report, making it the 6th time the country is being placed on such ranking.
I think it's not acceptable for them to be setting the targets of what must happen, and that if you don't, if you haven't taken certain measures by a certain time, then there will be consequences for the aid program. You might say that the US have a right to do that. It's their money, and if they want to put conditions on it, they can. On the other hand, on this trafficking thing, there certainly wasn't the evidence to support the idea that it's a major problem when they started this. And initially there was some communication from the Americans that we didn't feel were proper.
Being ranked as Tier 2 means Guyana has a high number of victims, or the numbers are significantly increasing. The ranking also suggests that there is insufficient evidence of acceptable efforts by government to improve anti-trafficking programs. Fighting the local battle, Simona Brooms is determined to tackle human trafficking and create a path for empowerment through the Guyana Women Minors Organization, which she launched in 2012.
So a prostitute might very well knows that she's going in to the business in prostitution, but then getting into the business, then she's forced to prostitute for money or gain or to entertain persons in a bar, because you don't have to be sexually active with a person to be trafficked.
This courageous woman's hard work did not go unnoticed, and 2 years ago Brooms was honored by U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry for her efforts to combat human trafficking locally. She is also a newly minted minister within the former Human Services Ministry, and there is hope that the passion she displayed with the organization will translate to action at the policy level she now occupies.
So you will see rescues, you will see a difference in the court system in terms of you find better prevention. Prosecution is an area that we're going to look at. Persons will be prosecuted and not just now that we're going to go down into the act, looking at the pimps, the transporter, everything that the act speak to, and not forgetting to have the court will now look at the act and enforce the compensation terms that the act speaks about to victims. I mean, all the years it was said that there's a tip unit at Human Services. It's not a tip unit. You have 3 workers in a unit there. It's not equipped, they don't have a vehicle. They're not exposed to human trafficking. They're not au fait with the area in terms of the outskirts. Guyana is not Georgetown. It's 10 regions. And we have to really build a unit. We have to relook at the task force, and it's structured and everything. And it's not like now I'm here as in the capacity as a minister that it will take my passion away when it comes from human trafficking. I'll just sit behind a desk. We're definitely going to continue. I'm going to continue with the kind of energy that one have been seen in the past.
The young women featured here are just a few of the many who were rescued by the Guyana Women Miners Organization. Finding victims who are trafficked into the interior is never an easy task, and one the organization will not quit anytime soon. Trafficking in persons is as old as civilization itself and affects almost every country in one way or another. But the gravity of its effects comes down to the decisive response by those in a position to act.